Hello and welcome to another episode of Tales from a Professional Nerd. My name is BryanCPSteele and I will be your nerd today and any other day that you watch one of my silly little shows. Alright, so, but we'll kick right off. As I'm sure you've noticed, the intro is different, and that is due to one amazing human being. His name is Jeremy Walton. Jeremy is a filmmaker out of Pennsylvania, I believe, who did the Kickstarter videos for Warzone. And apparently he watches the show, so hi Jeremy. And he reached out to Alex and was like, hey, I made a little intro video thing for Bryan. Do you think he'd like it? Obviously I do, and we did a couple of tweaks, we made a couple of adjustments, and bam, that is now going to be the beginning of all of my videos. Only 270 some odd episodes in, I am now even a little more professional than I was before. So huge thank you to Jeremy, and I can't thank the people, the gamers, the fans, the viewers, the subscribers. I can't thank you guys enough for a number of reasons. We'll get into it in the Week in Bryan, both in personal and in work. But this week has really shined as an example of just how much I appreciate and I'm grateful for all of the acts of kindness that happen through the channel and whatnot. So let's jump in. The Week in Bryan. So we'll start with personal. We'll go ahead and just hop in there. So on a personal level, I received a charitable donation to the channel. And through I always list my my Venmo and my PayPal on the descriptions of the videos, and I don't know who it was from. It is not a name I recognize. Maybe because on the YouTube listings of subscribers, or maybe it wasn't a subscriber. That would be weird if it's not a subscriber. It's just some random nice person that's like, hey, like your channel, here, have $100. But I just want to, whoever you are, if you are someone who watched the channel, it came at a great time. This week is Mother's Day and my stepkid's birthday. Like you are one of the superheroes out there, whoever you may be. Again, I don't like to do actual name drops, even though the name obviously showed up on the PayPal transfer. It doesn't match any of the subscribers or close to. So either way, if you're watching, if you're out there, thank you very much. It always means a lot to the channel to have that kind of stuff happen. Combine that with the fact that I've got filmmakers making intro videos to my show. I'm overwhelmed with gratitude for the people out there in the universe. Thank you. And I love you. Other personal notes. Still going to the gym 3 times a week. Nothing. Feeling good. No elbows or Tennessee elbow. Yeah. No. I think the car is working just fine. I think everything is on the up and up. This week has been a little weird with one of our dogs. She has decided to she's hit that obstinate level of puppyhood where she's like, no, I don't want to do the things that you want me to do. I know I should, and I will do it the 3rd or 4th time that you've told me. Or if it looks like you're about ready to get upset, I'll do it because I don't want you to be angry. But until then, I'm not going to do it, and I'm going to run away from you. So we're dealing with a little bit of that. Sleep has been the enemy for me last couple of days. Hence my coffee. in my Catalyst Game Labs Ghost Bear coffee mug. It's I have been staying up too late working on studio stuff lately. I think it's been too many days in a row, and I felt the pinch of it. I often have to get up very early in the morning. Besides going to the gym, it's either to take my kid to school or to take care of the animals. I really need to start getting better about going to bed at a reasonable time instead of working until I can't work no more and then staying up, a couple of hours beyond that in order to relax and have some entertainment for myself and not have my day be all work all day all the time. But the last handful of days, last week or so, has been a lot of that. And it's starting to catch up on me. I've been doing a lot of, mid-afternoon naps and mostly intentional. And it's a lot. And I don't want my work to slip because I'm tired, because that also happens. So I just need to get better at taking care of myself, because I often don't. But yeah, I think that's it for personal. Nothing else wacky there that I can think of. Gaming wise, so big news game wise. My local group. I believe I mentioned that they're using the Intergalactic Heroes manuscript. I've got them all NDA'd up to be able to use the full version, and we are playing a game of Intergalactic Heroes, of which I get to be a player. We actually have our first session this upcoming weekend. I'm very excited because we've gotten a little bit of text-based role-playing done on our Discord. And I'm already seeing some kind of fun exchanges that hopefully will happen between the characters. So that should be great. Also, I've been playing more Minecraft. Video game wise. I don't know why. It's relaxing. It's fun. I can talk to my buddy while we're playing about more in-depth topics and subjects without freaking out and worrying about whether or not the big demon's going to eat me. So I've been playing a lot of Minecraft. And getting ready to jump in on the Intergalactic Heroes stuff, which is awesome. I'm always a little weirded out playing a game that I've designed, but in a role-playing game, because someone else is going to be in charge for the majority of the the narrative. I don't like all the secrets and whatnot. I don't feel so bad. And it's just the mechanics I'm more familiar with. So I'll probably step in from time to time to help out with the mechanics side of things if somebody has a question or if something doesn't quite gel right. Or in effect, this is still technically a beta test. This is still a play test. So if there is something that comes out that's like, well, that's not quite right, or that doesn't feel right, I'm still in a position where I can make those adjustments to the official manuscript before it goes to Kickstarter or before it goes to to print and whatnot. So I'm excited about that. I think that's all the gaming. Hobby, I have done a little bit more sculpting on my my game hole charity piece. It is not quite to the point where I want to prime it before I show you guys the work in progress. Just because I think it will do it more justice for you not to see what is putty and what is 3D sculpt and what is miniature. It'll also help me know I've done a good job if I show this thing to you and you go, ooh, and you can't tell what I sculpted and what was part of the actual models. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being a sculpty prima donna. This is also possible. Other than that, I haven't really done any other hobbying. I want to do some more work on it, but again, I mentioned that I've been doing a lot of studio work, a lot of creation work, so I haven't had a whole lot of time. Which brings me to work stuff. So first and foremost, I started a Patreon. A couple of my friends have told me now there's another service coming out apparently in June or July that I'm looking into as well. I don't know whether or not I will have to change one to be. I don't know the specifics on it yet, but I've heard very, very good things from some very dependable, awesome people. So I will be keeping my eye on that service until it becomes a reality, and then maybe we'll take a look at what it can offer me as well. But for now, I did want to go ahead and start a Patreon. I have had friends in the industry and certain fans poking me about getting one of these up and running. And I'm like, yeah, I blah, 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 I don't know. Will I ever be able to generate enough content? Will the people who are my patrons feel like I am not giving them enough for their $5 a month or whatever? And so I started doing a little research, and I discovered a kind of a good way of setting it up. And so that is exactly what I did. I set up a Patreon that's for $5 a month. You get a free. I guess it's not for $5 a month. You get a free. For $5 a month, you get access to all of our content polls, and also I will be releasing some kind of game material each month that will be voted on by the patrons as to what kind of release they would like to see in the following month. This month I put out the stats for the Quill Bear, kind of an adorable dire porcupine sort of thing for D&D, just as a kind of a, hey, by the way, this is the sort of material that you'll be expecting from me. And I've gotten a little bit of traction on it. Obviously, it's going to take a while before it ever becomes more than, like that. I don't expect to ever be a content creator or something like that. This is just a way for me to get some of these ideas, some of these things that end up on the cutting room floor from other books and other ideas, getting it out there for the people to see and experience and hopefully use and enjoy, and at the same time support my my lifestyle as a freelance game designer, writer, miniature painter guy. As a professional nerd, I'm on the right channel, I can say that. So I will put the link for the Patreon in the description of the video. That will be a kind of a mainstay sort of thing in all of the videos. Not so much a let's talk about the Patreon, but that link will be there. I really, if you are a subscriber to the video or to the channel, I highly suggest popping over and at least becoming a free follower so you can see when things are happening. If you ever decide to jump up and become a paid member, I will put some free stuff on there, obviously, from time to time. But just being a member gives you an opportunity to occasionally I might be able to sell specific things, digital products through Patreon. That I don't have a better access point to do so. Yeah, so that's the Patreon. Other work, things at Evil Genius, business as standard. I have started officially writing the next of my monthly supplements, which is all surrounding dinosaurs and prehistoric entities. So that should be a ton of fun. There will obviously be an adventure that attaches to it. Yeah, we are taking it from a perspective of not like science. It's not the, well, humans never were around, 99.5% of dinosaurs, blah 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 blah. None of that. This is going to arm the game masters and the players with the right tools to be able to do A Land Before Time or Jurassic Park or something similar in that instance, to add these creatures and concepts to their existing games or create games surrounding them, because that's what Everyday Heroes is kind of all about, is making these sort of action adventure movies. And there have been dinosaurs in movie media for a long time. So we just wanted to make sure that there was a good way to create, to add those elements to your games. And so we will. Intergalactic Heroes, obviously, I mentioned, is still ongoing. We are in talks with an artist to start doing the concept art. Probably start with the alien origins and things, because we want to have enough stuff ready to show people when we moved this to Kickstarter or crowdfunder or whatever, to show people kind of the feel and the what's the right word? Not genre, but like kind of give you the that goal of what things like the Throne World Saga represents. That it's not a super manga, that it's not it's not tongue-in-cheek cutesy sci-fi, but it's also not like super gritty grimdark. We want to make sure that it gives off the right creative aura. If I don't know if those words make sense. So yeah, there's that. A couple other projects at Evil Genius are in progress. We have the Kickstarter scheduled for later this month for Return of the Living Dead role-playing game. Very excited to see how that unfolds. It's a very, very neat book. I didn't have a whole lot of personal input on it, which I actually regret. I wish I had more time and more energy to be able to devote some pages to that book. Lord knows I've got ideas, and Lord knows I'm a fan of the license. Heck, I've got one of the original movie posters in the studio. Yeah, I can show you. See, I don't know if you can see it over there. But yeah, that's one of the original Return of the Living Dead movie posters. So I wish I could have made more time to be a bigger part of that book, but expect me to add stuff to that product line later on when I have a little extra time. I already have some ideas of brewing, if you get my drift. Warzone, Alex just put out, or earlier this week, he put out an update to shipping that hopefully got everybody excited. We are in the final stretch for non-retail backers to get everything out the door, and then it's up to the various postal services to get them to the places they need to be. But yeah, we are in that final. I believe he said there's a very good chance that the UK and Euro stuff could hopefully be out the door by next week. And then we've just got a handful of stragglers that weren't part of the major shipping hubs that need to bounce out. And then it's time for us to move on to getting the retail backers taken care of. Then once the retail backers are done, it's on us to start up our retail service and move into the fun part of making more minis, making new units, making forward progression and grow the game beyond the Kickstarter. So very cool stuff there. I know we've already shown off a bunch of the sculpts at conventions, and there's been some pictures, flying around of some of the new stuff that's coming out. But I can tell you this: after this week, where we've seen concept art from some new things that haven't been sculpted yet, and the digital sculpts for some of the things that we hadn't seen the sculpt, but we had the art already done. We're going to take this game into good places. And I know that there are some people out there that are skeptical about the pace in which we are putting stuff out, because we're trying to we're taking that realistic pace of don't bite off more than you can chew. Do not try and run before you can walk. Like that's Alex has a really, really good head on his shoulders, and he is going to make sure that we don't outpace our ability and end up damaging the game. Yeah. Warzone. It's rad. Shadowrun stuff is ongoing. I wish I had more time to devote to throw words to the page for that. But it is a process to make sure that I link all these stories and canon and everything else that's together. I believe the third issue of Augment, or the second issue of Augment, is out now, and the third issue of Augment, I believe, is going to go up to pre-order here pretty soon. Augment, if you weren't aware, is the completely in character Shadowrun kind of glamour mag that is I have a regular column in where I am my regular columnist is Mark Real. His column is The Real Talk. And he's basically a puff piece expert who gets high society and high like big business personalities to come and talk to him for a little while, and he shows you that they're real people too. Get it? More joke, real. Okay. Yeah. So Shadowrun's going great. My buddy's game. His game company is called Point One Games. His game, The World of Jajar, we are still working on that diligently. He is very, very focused on getting his quick start rules out the door, or at least available, so when he can start marketing this thing, there will be a very cool handout / PDF or whatever to get people excited about it. It's a very cool world, and it's a very cool product, and he's been working on this system for a decade or more, maybe longer. But it is a ton of fun, and I think it is different enough from some existing systems that he's going to attract a very dedicated fan base. When they figure out and get a hold of his system, the ones who like his system this is going to be one of their new favorite things. And so I'm very excited to see where that goes. I think that's it that I can actually talk about before moving into today's actual topic. I know that was kind of a long weekend, Brian, but we had a lot going on. There's a lot going on. So today's actual topic, we are about halfway, but at the time of this video, we are about halfway through the backer kit crowdfund or GameFound? I think it's GameFound. I will put a link up in the description of the video for the Zeo Genesis miniature skirmish game. I know what you're saying, Brian. You already work on Warzone, a different miniature skirmish game. How could you be working on two? Well, they are totally different. They are completely different atmospheres. They're completely different play styles, and completely different scale. Whereas like some of the largest minis you're probably ever going to see in Warzone Eternal, unless we change the rule set, might only be yay tall. the Zeogenesis is designed to go big. And in fact, I have seen some of the digital sculpts of some of the heavy Zeos, and we're talking big models. We'll start at the beginning, and we'll move on from there. We'll go through. I have a digital copy of the most current rule book, and I want to give you just kind of a quick overview as to why this game is as cool as it is. Because I think that people sometimes having names attached to something is a double-edged sword. Well, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me take a sip of my Ghost Bear coffee. Tastes like Warden Clan. Okay, so the Zeogenesis game, it is a miniature skirmish game, whereas you probably will only have, three, maybe four of the actual Zeos. I'm getting ahead of myself. In Zeogenesis, you have effectively two types of models. You have a third type of model that comes in the form of like terrain pieces, but the main two types of models are support models and Zeos. Zeos are your robot suits. The kind of mecha style things. They aren't so big that like you have a little pilot sitting in the head like a BattleTech mech, but it's more like an oversized robot suit that you're sort of like an exo frame. Basically they have a pilot, whether it's a remote or there's a dude inside, but it is definitely a piloted suit that is humanoid / semi-humanoid in nature. When you build a force, you grab a Zeo, and each Zeo has point costs, and you can add different elements to it and different types of equipment and change out his guns. It's very, very customizable. With very few exceptions, every Zeo is going to have a pile of choices to field. Let's say I want to do more missiles this time, or I want to do more. I want to do an artillery type setup, rather than having 50 different miniatures that represent this, all these different versions. It's more like all of those things are the equipment to purchase, to attach, or be wielded by the Zeo. The Zeo is effectively just kind of like a big soldier, a big robotic soldier. And when you put a Zeo in your force, you have support options. And support models are things like infantry or drone controllers or medics, or they're or I say medic, but it's more like a repair guy, a mechanic, to fix the Zeos. You might have heavy infantry. You might have models that are designed specifically to interact with buildings or objectives. So support models are more like your infantry and drones. They're your little dudes, your regular guys for the army running around supporting the Zeo. The Zeos are obviously the stars of the show, but you need a supporting cast, and the support models fill those roles. Obviously, Zeos are tougher. They're bigger. They're more powerful than a regular dude running around in they might have armor, but generally speaking, they're going to be the ones that do most of the moves and moving and shaking in the force. Speaking of forces, let's talk about the two that come with the two factions, the Pact and the Guard Corps. They are two sides of kind of the same political coin in the humanverse. The humanverse is where Xenogenesis is set. It is the heliospheres, basically the star systems that humanity has spread out to and controlled, is collectively called the humanverse. And the humanverse is got two primary dominant forces that control a lot of that territory. There's the Pact and the Guard Corps. In this initial crowdfunding campaign, the main starter box has those two forces, diametrically opposed to one another. The way that works is they have different art styles, they have different, technological leanings, but you can tell looking through their stats and looking through their different armaments, they are kind of designed to fight against one another. Obviously, a gun's a gun, but there is different technology. There are different damage types and things that might work better against the other. Now, there are more factions planned. The third faction, I don't want to get too deep into it because it might be something that the guys over at Best Hobby are waiting to surprise. I have done a little more work with the third faction and later on, and they are, I don't want to be like, they're drastically different, but they are definitely a different feel than the starter box factions. So the game, while it is still, Zeos and support models, and the functionality is the same, the way that the forces are built, the different weapons that they have available to them, and obviously the aesthetics of the different armies, those are going to be what really sort of change and expand on the universe of Xenogenesis. The humanverse, if you will. But initially, the Pact and the Guard Corps are the two primary factions that you get in the crowdfund and in the starter box. One of the things that I was told initially was that the guys at Best Hobby, the owner is a guy named Danny Block, who is amazing. He's an amazing dude. And Danny told me when we started this whole thing, and you know what? I'm going to take a second to tell you how this whole relationship started. I just realized that you guys are coming kind of in cold. So Danny reached out to me based off of a recommendation from my buddy Matt Forbeck, that if you've got a miniatures game that you want designed, there's a guy who will do a good job. And he gave Danny my information, and Danny reached out to me. And we started out, basically, Danny was very open and very honest and was like, listen, there's you, and then there is another designer that is working on the initial pitch for Xenogenesis. And I want you guys both to build a core rule set. Here are my parameters. And I'll pick and choose the best parts of both, or pick one, whatever the case may be. It's basically, it gave him a lot of leeway to figure out what he wanted this game to be. Well, I built a system, this other person built a system, and I don't know exactly how much of mine may have gotten used, but either way, Danny really liked the other guy's stuff. He said it was a little more simple. I had built a little more crunchy of a rule set that I think he wanted something a little more streamlined, a little more easy to get into. But either way, this is the nature of the industry. There's always that back and forth. Danny was like, well, we're going to go ahead and go with the primary rule set from the other gentleman. I will be in touch as we start moving forward on the project. Well, time went by. Time passed, and eventually Danny reaches back out to me and says, oh, hey, we're getting closer to the crowdfund. Since you're very familiar with the concept of what this game needs to be, I would like you to come back in and help do some development and like some dev passing and some playtesting and things for the rule set, and then as the game progresses, we'll build more into the new factions and into the new gameplay styles and all that. And I said, yeah, that'd be great. It was fun working with him the first time. Obviously, I enjoy the concept of the game, and it's always fun to be able to kind of get my fingerprints on projects. Well, it was at that time that I found out that the other person that was designing the rules for Xenogenesis was Andy Chambers of 40K fame, which is funny because 15 years ago, this situation, whereas Andy builds a main game, and then I get called in way later on to kind of help dev into the new products. We did this again. We did this before with Mongoose. Andy Chambers built the initial Starship Troopers miniatures game for Mongoose Publishing back in the early 2000s, and I got hired at Mongoose to do a bunch of writing. But while I was there, I did a bunch of dev work and some light design for Starship Troopers miniatures game, built by Andy Chambers. So it was funny that history repeats itself with a completely different game, but same concept, same style. So we ended up being on the same team again. So it was very cool. And I find out that Gav Thorpe is involved, and that Dan Morrison is doing a bunch of doing much of the art for it. I love being, even if I'm just kind of tangentially part of the team, I love being on a team with these guys because they are professionals and they know what they're doing, and it is fun. It is fun to be on those projects and with those guys again. All that being said, it is. I mentioned earlier that having big names attached to a project sometimes can be a double-edged sword. It obviously is cool because people respect the name, they know what has been done, they know where, they know that those people have got the chops to build a damn fine game. But it also means that you might get someone who's like, oh, this is just going to be 40K again, or oh, this is just 40K but X, like that is the problem, is that sometimes people think that you're only capable, sometimes gamers think that you're only capable of creating one type of thing. And I look at somebody like Andy who makes amazing games, made some of the games that I still have to this day on my shelf. And no, they're not all the same game because he's a professional game designer. It's his job to make games that fit the brief, not games that he wants to make because he likes how that dice clatters or whatever. And sometimes gamers, they lose track of that and they think that people, the game designers are one-trick ponies and that they can only do the same thing over and over and over again. So sometimes you have to skip over the comments section because it's a lot of, oh, this is just 40K again, except brightly colored, or, oh, you washed the Grimdark out of my 40K. Shush. Andy made a damn fine game. Gav did a fantastic job of fluffing out this universe. And hopefully I will be able to, now that I'm sort of helping into the dev process and some of the design work, we'll get more into that in a second, I'll be able to help take that someplace. Like that it's a team effort, and more than anything, it's a new effort. And I really hope people will remember that, I'm going to get all weird here. Not every single Honda car is the same, but Honda makes cars. It's the same idea. Game designers make games. Not all those games are going to be the same. Some of them are going to be different. Some of them are going to be completely new and weird and something you've never seen before. Others might be closer to what you have, but it doesn't make them bad. It just makes them created, just makes them something that exists. All right, so let's get back on track. So what I had mentioned is the gameplay itself is mostly focused around Zeos. It is the Zeos are definitely going to be the stars of your show. They're going to do the most work. They definitely have got the most ability to withstand damage. Which you know what? I'm going to go ahead. I think let's go ahead and kind of roll through some of the basics of Xeogenesis. I'm not going to just sit here and read the rule book at you because A, that's boring. Nobody wants to watch that, and B, I want you to go and check out the backer kit. I want you to go check out the game. Maybe watch one of the gameplay videos. Peachy from the Jugs podcast did an amazing video talking about Xeogenesis and how much he really digged it. So let's just kind of give you the quick overview. So it's a D10 based game where you will roll a number of D10s based off of the power of the weapon, the skill of the user, that kind of thing, where you're trying to hit a certain target number, and then your target will then roll a certain number of armor dice to take away your hits, kind of like armor saves, but there's a sliding scale based off of different weapon types and whatnot, and the weapon might have more armor pen or a different punch that takes away some of those dice from your target. Ones always fail, no matter what. If you're rolling the dice and ones come up, it's bad. But there is something cool. Hang on, I got an itch. Man, I am just itchy and scratchy and need more sleep. There's also an additional die that is added when you make your attacks, called a combat die. And the combat die, we'll get more into the combat die when I get into what happens when you attack somebody. I really like the combat die, and we'll get into that. We'll deal with that here in a second. But the combat die is not a bespoke die. There's no weird gimmicky dice in this game. It's just D10s. But the combat die is basically you're going to roll a bunch of dice, and then this one die might be a different color, or you roll it off to the side or whatever, and to show that that's the combat die. It is an inches and feet game. The gameplay area is, generally speaking, 3x3 is enough. If you're playing a particularly large game, you can probably go up to 4x4. And if you were playing a super big game, or maybe a multiplayer game, as the new factions come out or whatnot, you could probably pop it up to at least like 6x4. But it's definitely 3x3 or 4x4 is the way to go. Terrain on a game like this is important, but it is not as chock full as say like a Warzone or a Necromunda map. It's not going to be it's going to be not anywhere near like that. It's going to be more set up almost like a God, I want to say like a BattleTech board, because sometimes you use hexes. You're going to have at least like one big building or a big rock or something, like a rocky spire or something that's going to block a bunch of line of sight. Because you want to be able to have a way for your Zeos to hide from each other, but you're not going to want so much terrain on the table that you can't get shots off at each other. Not to mention, you will have to remember that the Zeos get real big. Like, there are some very big Zeos. So if you don't have some large building style terrain features for these guys to even get cover behind, you might as well just be on a blank field blasting at each other. You're going to want a couple of nice line of sight breaking pieces. You're going to need tokens to mark various activations and things, different versions of what is known as system down. System downs, think of it, for all you role players out there, it's like how if you have disadvantage, it doesn't matter if you have 20 versions of disadvantage on your dice roll, you have disadvantage. System down is the same kind of thing. Something has happened to your model that is causing it to be negatively affected. Whether it's acid is burning, eating away at you, fire is burning you, some kind of electro weapon is zapping your systems, gravity weapons are slowing you down. Whatever the case may be, it applies a general negative effect called a system down. If you have more system downs applied to you, they kind of translate into damage. You basically don't keep getting system down. System down. More of them get applied, they become damage. And damage in this game is represented by every model has a certain number of defenses. Defenses are anything from armor to shields to chaff cannons, or it could be anything that's going to be narratively described in the model's fluff. You might be able to look at a model and go, oh, that guy's got a lot of defenses. He's covered in shields. He's made of shields. Whatever is the descriptor, that's all flavor, that's all fluff, unless it has a special rule attached to it. But the defenses of a model are the number of times it can be damaged before it is considered a casualty. Now, I say that very specifically because it's not like wounds, it's not like hit points. It's specifically, let's say you've got a defenses of 4. You have a defense 4. You can suffer 4 defense down results, which are things like unsaved damage, that kind of thing, and your model's still active. You're still out there doing stuff. It just means you have no more defenses. That means the next time someone hits you and you don't you don't reduce those hits, the next time you take a hit after all of your armor and things, you have no more defenses. It caught you in the open effectively. You are destroyed. I say that with a wink because it doesn't necessarily mean that you're destroyed. It might just be the Zeo's out of commission. Its main reactor is leaking, so you're like, I got to get out of here. You couldn't defend yourself anymore, so therefore you are no longer viable. You're no longer a viable battle component, so you are effectively removed as a casualty. Now, obviously, for some of these folks, it is quite possible that you are you're a human. You're just a soldier. You're just a support guy, and your defense goes away, and you get hit. You're probably toast. But for these Zeos, that kind of thing can extend and become bigger, better, badder, faster, more. Does that make sense? It took my brain during playtest and during kind of the early process, it took my brain a little while to get around the idea that, yeah, you've got 4 defenses, but you can technically take 5 hits. I hope, does that make sense? Because that 5th hit is the one that got past all of your defenses. Measuring is easy. It's model to model. It's not center to model or center to model. It's just basically the closest point to closest point when you're measuring stuff, except for movement. Movement is front of base to front of base, back of base to back of base. You don't get the extra base thing. Especially, like I said, some of these models get really big. So if you were able to do a back of base to front of base or whatever, front of base to back of base, that would be several inches worth of bonus movement. Which is not okay. weapons in this game, so all of these soldiers, barring all the Zeos and everything, barring any special abilities they have attached to them, they're considered to be proficient in the gun that they're using, basically, or sword that they're using, or whatnot. They might have something that says, I swing faster, or I get more shots, or anything like that, but it's predominantly the equipment is what's different from one soldier to the next. Not to be like, Ted's not a good soldier and Steve's better than he is. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, if I give Ted the King Lance laser rifle versus Steve with his flechette pistol, they are effectively the same soldier, but one has got a gun that does a lot more oomph and probably costs more points. So I mentioned the King Lance laser. So in that case, every weapon has got its damage, a range called the snapshot range. Snapshot range basically is built into how far you can fire and still move. When you activate a character, when you activate a model, you give them a set number of orders, and sometimes those orders are aimed fire, sometimes those orders are run and gun, which allows you to move and then take a snapshot. So there's different protocols that you give to that model that allow them to do different things. And the snapshot range tells you what some of that stuff can be. There can be an aim modifier if you're taking an aimed shot, so a shot where you didn't move, you might get some bonus dice. A lot of weapons have an armor modifier, which we'll talk about that when I talk about after you hit somebody. And then there's some special rules. Something like the King Lance has a beam rating. And so that beam rating basically allows it to how far it can burn through stuff. Or how close it can be to another target because you're beaming into something. Obviously, and they also have damage. They have a damage number that you're dealing with. So, something like the King Lance. The King Lance has an attack rating of 3 dice. That means you're rolling 3d10 to hit versus a target number of the model that you're hitting. And that target number will be based off of whether or not you moved, he moved, the terrain between you, his initial target number. So something like the size of a barn is probably going to have a very low target number, whereas a scooty little, like a little zippy drone, meow, 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 is going to have a higher target number, but probably not take much damage because it's a very little dude. You roll those dice, you compare the target numbers, you add those up, and as long as you've gotten at least one hit, then we go to the damage of the weapon. In the case of the King Lance, it's 9 energy. So it's 9 energy being applied to the armor of the target. In the case of the King Lance, it also has -2 dice for the armor, because it's an armor penetration style weapon. So the target will then take its armor, reduced by the weapon, and roll those dice versus the damage of the attack, knocking down X number of hits, giving you whether or not, is there any left over. Did I get past the defenses? If that's the case, then the model takes a defense down. Easy as that. Did I do more damage than their armor was able to soak? Yes, I do a defense down. But you're saying, Bryan, you mentioned a combat die. What does a combat die do? So the combat die is a separate d10 that you're rolling, and there's a chart. As long as you have gotten at least 1 damage, as long as you got at least 1 hit, you are going past your defenses. You roll on the combat die. And the combat die, I'm actually going to pull up the chart for the combat die, because each chart is different. Where is the combat die chart? Combat die. Sorry, give me 1 sec. Here we go. So we'll use the Guard Corps combat die. So you always roll it, And as long as one hit scores on the target, you roll the die. And that doesn't necessarily mean that the damage dice will apply. That combat die is effectively kind of like a bonus thing floating around. As long as any of the other dice hit, the combat die applies. Now, the defending player can still use successful armor dice rolls to get rid of the combat die, but that's only in the case of all the other regular hits have been removed first. It's kind of like this sort of floating bonus thing that could be happening, that if I get rid of all the other damage, I can still get rid of this. If that makes any sense. Okay, so something like the Guard Corps die, it is the you roll a d10, and I'm just going to roll down the thing. If I rolled a 1, it has no effect. The combat die is effectively nothing. It's just a blank die that got rolled around. 2 through 5 is an under fire. I get to reduce the force cohesion of the force the target belongs to by 1. I didn't really get into force cohesion, but so Xeogenesis is a scenario-based game. Obviously, you want to blast your opponents, but you also want to score objectives and take hold of things and eventually reduce your opponent's force cohesion. It actually has less to do with killing all of your opponents than just reducing their force cohesion to 0 and ending the turn, because that's how you win this game. You win this game by reducing your opponent's, rather than a victory point total, it is you're reducing your opponent's desire to stick around and fight for this mission to 0. That's the goal. So 2 through 5 reduces your force cohesion on the opponent's side by 1. 6 through 7 is knockback. Target is pushed 5 inches away from the attacker. The target will suffer 1 system down token if they hit a model or terrain along the way. I mentioned the whole system down thing. System down is just going to be a penalty to some of their stuff unless they suffer multiple system downs, and then it counts as damage. Shrapnel. Target suffers 1 defense down token. So basically, they just get an extra... count that as it's almost like an extra hit. And then Shockwave is on a 10. Target suffers 1 defense down and 1 system down token. So the reason why that's a big deal is because it's the closest way. If the combat die gives you a defense down, and then the hits that you're inflicting on the target give you a defense down, and then you also do a system down. Let's say they already have a system down from the weapon or maybe from an earlier hit. That's like one of the only ways that you can do like a 3rd point of damage or a 3rd defense down effectively on a target in one go. That's kind of the back and forth on some of these things. The combat die is the kind of luck factor. It's not just us shooting back and forth. I mean, there might be instances where you really just, you would rather just inflict a bunch of force cohesion damage on your opponent because you get them close to running. So it's kind of that suppressing fire style, make them go. And those are the kind of things that your support models are going to be very good at, is massed firepower that the dice aren't going to be that much, and their guns are small, and they're probably not going to inflict a ton of damage, but they might be able to do enough suppressing fire, enough of those under fire results to make a significant punch on the mission itself. Hope that makes sense. System downs are they are a great way of kind of forcing your opponent into a corner on their stats, allowing you to take advantage of weaknesses using the benefits of your weapons. But it's also a way for us as designers on some of these models, because each system down, except for the ones that are just straight up made from the flamethrower gives you a system down, and its parentheses next to it says burn. the burn doesn't mean that you have like a burn token or anything like that. The burn is just a descriptor of what the system down is, because there might be other keywords that trigger off of burn. Like you might have maybe a Zeo that has been modified with like anti heat shielding or something, and maybe they ignore system shock or system down burn. That's the reason. System down is the actual description of what's happening to your model. The burn aspect is just a descriptor to possibly trigger other stuff off of. That's all those are. And there's things like burn, shock, inhibit. I believe prone, system down prone is one. But yeah, there are ways for you to deal with that. Also, you can have protocols that allow you to react to your opponent doing stuff, allowing you to basically, here, let me get the actual, not the shoot action. Shoot actions are cool, but that's not what we're talking about. We have action summaries. So your activation modes are run and gun, aim, fire, charge, and fight. And these are the specifics. Run and gun allow you to you have to take 2 moves for your model, and then take a shoot at the snapshot range. Aimed fire, you have to stay put, but you can take you can shoot at any enemy model even outside of snapshot range, but you still have to be within line of sight. Charge is you get to actually, it's not charge is not necessarily the run in and hit automatically. It is, you can kind of be shooting and moving at the same time, and then if you get into close combat, you get to take a swing. It's definitely the most aggressive activation mode. And then fight is, I'm not even going to be shooting my gun. I am just here to clobber you with my sword or stab you with my claws or whatever. And it's a lot of move and melee actions only. Like this is the dedicated clobbering activation mode. Reactions, if a model has not been activated, it does not have an activation on it, it can react to a specific enemy action, choosing one specific thing. It can either dodge, counterfire, or hunker down against a ranged attack. It can counterattack, parry, evade against a fight attack, or it can dodge, counterfire, or brace against anything that's going to have a model come into contact with you. So it allows you to have a little bit of back and forth of, okay, something's happening to me. I need to be. I can do something with this, but it is drastically less effective than performing that action on your turn. Yeah, I think. Oh, wow. We have gone, I just looked at the clock. We have gone an hour on this video already, and I am just scratching the surface of how cool Xenogenesis is. I also know that I was a little scattered on just throwing all these concepts and terms at you. Part of the reason for that is because it is, it's a cool rule set with a lot of stuff available to you. I believe the term that they're using is a modular skirmish game, and that's because each model has all these different options, and the gameplay itself allows you to change your tactics, change your concepting. So here's what I want to say. I'm gonna scratch my nose. What I'm gonna do. Let's go ahead and call this part 1. Because there is so much more stuff I want to tell you about this game. I want to get into some of the cool stuff that Best Hobby is doing. And I want to get into the concept of terrain features, because this game is it leans very heavy into the concept of bringing themed terrain for your force that actually does stuff into the battle. So you know what? We're going to call this part 1, and I'm going to do part 2 next week, where we will talk more about some of the specifics and some of the missions, and definitely get into the use of the terrain features for Xenogenesis. Until next time, please follow the links, subscribe to my Patreon, but follow the links to Xenogenesis, follow them on all the social medias, and go over and give them some love on the crowdfunding campaign. We'd love to see more cool stuff happen, and I can't wait till next week to tell you more about it. Until then, please be safe, wash your hands, get your shots, wear your mask, try to be a decent human being, or if you're not a human being, just try and be a decent sapient life form. Just try and leave every room a little happier than when you got there, and I think that everything's going to turn out okay. Until next week, where we talk more about Xenogenesis, be safe, have fun, and play some games, because you know I will. See you guys next week.